It's easy to take jabs at Superman for having few weaknesses, or one particular iteration of Batman.
Why did you say that name?
But I'd rather focus on characters with more complicated flaws. Flaws which make each character and story uniquely compelling. But let's linger on that idea for just a moment. Why do flaws make characters more compelling? Is it because they make characters more relatable, because their flaws can help drive conflict, or because if they work hard enough, we can see characters overcome their flaws and become better versions of themselves? Yes. The answer is yes. Nobody is perfect. I think we can all agree on that, at least. By depicting characters who mirror that sentiment, it's easier for us to understand and connect to them. In a similar vein, I think that's why we root for the underdogs, because we enjoy seeing people like us succeed. It's not exactly thrilling to see Superman effortlessly stop a criminal, or the New England Patriots win another game. Now, that's not to say it's a bad thing to have larger-than-life characters. Superman, after all, is a hugely important character in pop culture, and has historically provided hope to those who felt or were downtrodden. That's kind of what he was created for. Compare that to Haymitch from The Hunger Games. On the surface, Haymitch is a drunk, uninterested with what's going on around him and complacently accepts his lot in life. If we dig deeper into his character, though, we'll find that his drinking is a symptom of a greater issue. His disdain for the annual Hunger Games and depression over the fact that so many kids go into them and die. So many of the kids he prepared for the games. By the time he meets Katniss and Peeta to train for the 74th annual Hunger Games, Haymitch has already trained tributes for more than 20 years. None of them have survived. So we can understand why he's an alcoholic at this point. Even though the drama of the games is a bit fantastical, unbelievable, his trauma and coping methods are not. We're all aware of the pain loss brings. We can identify with his trauma, so that makes Haymitch more real to us. Flaws don't just add character depth, though. They can also drive the entire story. Let's look at an example that might be new to some of you. In the short story A Strange Loop from T.R. Napper's collection Neon Leviathan, Irving has gone through a divorce, and throughout the story he's trying to win his ex-wife back and regain rights to see his daughter. Many of the arguments his wife had with him when they were together were financially related, so he began selling memories to a corporation in order to make money fast, eager to win them back. The problem is, many of the memories he's selling were related to his wife and daughter, because those fetched a higher price. Now he no longer has those memories, and by the time he finally meets with his wife, Irving is completely reliant on his exomemory, an augmentation he uses to record and recall information. As he's talking with his wife, Irving discovers that while many of their arguments were about money, it was mostly to do with his gambling and get-rich-quick schemes. It was his greed and gambling addiction that caused problems, not a lack of money. Of course, he would have remembered that if he hadn't sold those memories. The story of A Strange Loop is constructed entirely around Irving's flaws. The situation arises because they affect his relationship with his wife and child, and then he tries to resolve the problem in an extremely flawed way. Character flaws like this are a great way to make a story based around internal conflict, rather than external. There doesn't have to be a physical antagonist if the character is fighting themselves. Irving never overcomes his flaws, though. He succumbs to them. Compare that to Haymitch. While his flaws are never fully absolved, he does drink less as the series goes on, which shows how flaws can be used to create character arcs. These kinds of character arcs are focused on personal growth. This time, let's take a look at a story that's a bit less depressing. Haikyuu's main character, Shoyo Hinata, is cheerful, energetic, and brings all of that enthusiasm to volleyball. However, multiple times through the series, he's shown failing at his studies or acts on the court without planning ahead. The series focuses on Hinata's dedication to succeed, meeting a better opponent, then learning how to defeat them. His poor grades put that goal in danger since he can be pulled from the team, and his impulsiveness makes him a worse player. These flaws aren't the main conflict of the story, but they create personal arcs that raise tension of the main conflict. Hinata can't achieve his goals until he overcomes his flaws. You can't play volleyball if you're failing math class. So, character flaws help us relate, drive the plot, and make the character's success, if it comes, that much more rewarding. But when we're developing our own characters, how do we build flaws into them? There's really no one-size-fits-all answer to that question, but we can pull some tips straight from these examples. Characters like Superman, who don't have a lot of character flaws, need other kinds of things to create compelling stories. Superman was intended as a symbol of hope. The fact he fights people or lifts heavy things is rarely ever interesting these days, but the way he handles a problem and fights for the downtrodden still resonates with people. A character flaw should have some meaning to the plot. Haymitch's drinking isn't particularly interesting until you learn about his history and realize that it's a coping mechanism. Irving's get-rich-quick schemes create the conflict in the story, and Hinata's flaws are something that he's constantly working to overcome to reach his goals. And then there's Kryptonite, which, yeah, it's fine. Finally, character flaws are an important part of creating well-rounded and believable characters, but if you treat sensitive topics too lightly, or misunderstand them, you risk upsetting part of your audience. While you might have the best of intentions, if you're dealing with serious issues that real people deal with, like drinking or gambling, it would be a good idea to do some research, or get a sensitivity reader, or both. Both is good too. Thanks for watching.